Okay, so I think you've answered this question, but I want to ask anyway, just so that we can emphasize it. You have grown the practice since you've taken over, and how do you push for that growth without losing something special or kind of burning out your staff?
That's a great question, and I'm still learning how to do that, how to push for growth, but then I have to remind myself that if I want to get bigger, if I want to be the best practice, if I want to keep up with what's going on in the industry, it has to be done. It's necessary. And when it comes to staff and not burning them out, I have to be really honest with myself with the type of business model I want to run. And if I want growth, I need a bigger team. I've tried to do the model where I'm trying to be as cost efficient as possible and try to maximize everyone's work hours to keep payroll low, to keep costs low. And it just turns into a machine that is steaming and the alarms are going off and everyone's stressed out and you don't even feel accomplished, you just feel burnt. So my answer to that would be you have to be real with what you want for the business, because there are some people that they're really happy with the numbers and being stagnant and plateauing and just being very comfortable. They know what to expect every month. They know they don't want to open locations. They know they don't want to hire more people. And they're really happy with just that middle ground. And that works for some people, but it can be very scary if something goes wrong in your industry, if something goes wrong in the economy, and you didn't do more for the business, or you didn't open more locations, or someone else comes in and they take all of the business from you. So in my opinion, you have to be really real with what you want for your business. Do you want to grow? Do you want to stay where you are? But if you want to grow, you have to expand. You have to, in my opinion, you have to expand, or else you will find people overworked, burnt out, and possibly walking out on you because they're being treated, or they think they're overworked and they would rather have a work-life balance. So I think it's a conversation you have to have with yourself of what do you really want for the business? And you have to communicate with everyone on the team that this is where the business is going, but that they're going to be supported during that. So if, we tripled our staff numbers. So we're kind of bursting at the seams at the Sahara location that I'm at right now. We don't have room for more people. Like we are using every square inch of this room, of this practice as well. And we are very communicative that we want to have more MAs. I want to get another provider, and that's going to mean making everyone aware and communicating, okay, how are we going to make this team better? We have to learn how to work with different personality types. We have to work with each other, and we're on the same team. No one's against each other. So I would say that if you are planning to grow, you have to, over-communicate, in my opinion. Over-communicate with everyone, because when you have a team that's really used to working with each other, and you just add people with no communication, no kind of team training, in my opinion, it can turn into a disaster, and it can turn very just out of control because no one knows roles. No one knows what's the vision. No one knows where this is going, and the captain's not steering the ship. So I have learned through my trial and error that you have to be very real with yourself. And if that's where you want to go, this is what it takes.
That makes sense.
It reminds me of two things. I'm sorry, Matt, I'll let you get back to your question. Two things you said that really struck a chord with me. It's that you have to be real with yourself and honest about what your goals are. And I've heard it said like this, you're either growing or dying, right? Like one of the two. So, you can choose not to grow, but then you're choosing the alternative of growth, which is decline, right? Nothing ever stays like exactly the same.
Yeah, things happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks.
Yeah, no, that's fine. My question for you, Alexa, was, what are executives massively underestimating right now?
How to treat employees. That is something that I see every single day within colleagues, within competition, within people coming to me asking, how do I retain employees? I do have to say I'm really proud of what we've done here at Bellevue Health, and that we really don't have a high turnover rate. Everyone who is hired stays here for years and years, and we really, really care about our employees and treating them well, giving them PTO, giving them benefits, throwing, whatever they need to be successful here. I would say, and I know it's a corny quote, but you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I think that applies to business extremely. And a lot of people, I think, can be just so caught up in the numbers and the profit and gaining new patients that they just completely overlook who's working for them and who's actually really running that ship with them. And I see over and over healthcare practices that are kind of managed like just a numbers game, that they just don't, they expect the employees to come, clock in, work for them, get it done, leave, and then that's pretty much it. Like, they're just numbers to them. And I see this on a corporate level in different industries as well. And when you don't care about your employees, or you're not thinking, hey, what is their experience like clocking in? Are they miserable to come to work? Are they stressed out coming to work? Are they dreading coming to work? If you don't think about that, in my opinion, you're not going to have a team that's going to take you to where you need to be. You're not going to have success, because if everyone on your team is miserable, hates coming to work, hates who they're working with, you're just going to be, you're just going to be, in my opinion, declining as a business. Because in our healthcare field, patients feel the employees. When they come in to check in for their visit, they can sense if the front desk is having a bad day. They can sense if the provider, and they can sense if something is off. And I think a lot of business owners don't understand that, and they overlook the happiness of their employees and the happiness of their patients as a whole. So I would say, I think that's something that's extremely overlooked, especially in my healthcare field, that they're just not thinking about the people who are working for them.
I think patient experience starts with employee experience, right? And when you're creating a great environment. And I love that. And you're thinking about the future. So speaking of the future, what are your biggest goals or challenges right now? I like to say, what's your big, hairy, audacious goal? What are you taking on?
Oh God, our big kahuna is we are in the process of purchasing the land for our third location, not just renting. We're trying to purchase the entire commercial real estate property, which is a really big, really big bite to chew. But we honestly are just so excited about it, even though we understand it's a massive responsibility, a massive task to undergo. Kind of insane to do at our age, and especially when people are telling us like, just rent, like why take on that type of mountain of purchasing real estate and all those things. But our big goal is that we not only are going to open our third location, we want to purchase the entire lot. So we want to be able to rent out other offices. We want to be able to rent out to, whether that be other professionals, a physical therapist, a chiro, an attorney, accountant. We just want to create like an entire professional plaza of just professional services and be the landlords. So we are in the process of that, of purchasing the commercial real estate for our third property, while also opening other offices within the area.
Well, I love that, especially with adjacent providers that your patients might also need.
Yes.
So I just think, that just enhances the patient experience, or the customer experience, if you will. And I think it's a wisdom for sure. I see it as a really a big positive. And you, in order to do those things, you're probably like trying to see around the corner, or see the business future, if you will. So what's a trend you're watching closely today, and how do you think it might impact you in the future?
A big trend I'm following within my industry, I would have to say, and I have to say it comes back to how other practices are treating their employees, to be quite honest. Because again, the patients, we've had transfers from other practices, and they're really great renowned practices, because they had a horrible experience with the staff. So we've had transfers come to us, and we are happy to change their patient experience and be able to give them a new idea of what it's like to really come see a doctor. But I just really have been seeing a trend that there's other practices that are just so focused on other things that they're not even looking at their staff, and they're not even looking at the patients that they do have, what their experience is like going to their practice. What's it like checking in? What's it like sitting in the waiting room? What's it like meeting the provider? What's it like the explanation of their treatment? So I would say that is by far something I'm constantly looking at and constantly trying to tweak here at Bellevue. Like, what is it like the second a patient comes through the door? What is their experience when they talk to a staff member? So that is something I'm definitely looking at.
Interesting. You give so much information. I'm only not asking follow-up questions because I'm processing everything you're saying. It's just so interesting because you were thrown in the trenches, and I can tell how much you've absorbed in such a short amount of time. So being where you are, what's one thing you think that leaders, I mean, I think I know what you're going to say, but I want to hear your answer. What thing that leaders or executives should stop doing immediately if they want to succeed in the next decade?
So if they want to succeed in the next decade,
what should they stop doing?
I think, and this might sound a little harsh, I think they should stop expecting a work-life balance every single day. I think, especially because I graduated during the pandemic era, and that was really tough to watch, especially when you grow up understanding what your professional life is supposed to look like, what you're supposed to want. And then I graduated from undergrad in 2021, where no one was hiring. Everybody was looking to remote jobs. And I still have a lot of friends that they stayed in remote jobs and they love it. And it definitely picked up after everything came back after COVID. But I still see a lot of other people that they're expecting like a beautiful work-life balance and not that much stress, and they don't even think about working after 5 on a Friday, forget about a Saturday. So I think, and it kind of goes back to what my father always said, don't be afraid to work hard. Don't be scared of overworking yourself. Because when you have the expectation of, I need to have balance, and then you have a very stressful problem or some fire comes up and you find yourself really overwhelmed, you're staying in the office till way past when you usually leave. I think when you kind of train your body to be scared or be fearful of when things get hard. And if you're scared of when things get hard or the workload becomes more intense, you're just kind of going to crumble. Like, you're not going to really lean into it. You're not going to get to where you want to be. And if you expect a balance, I just think it's very unrealistic for people who really want to have a business and be successful. I don't think there is a work-life balance, but I think you have to be.
I said that exact same thing to Matt. We were talking and I'm like, work-life balance is a myth.
It is.
Because you can focus on what brings you joy or what brings you like fulfillment. Sometimes those are two different things. Although I would assert when you feel fulfilled, you probably have joy, right? You're probably being joyful. Yeah. But I think work-life balance is a myth. I really do. I think you are going to choose what to be invested in. When you're with your family, you can be totally locked in with your family and present. But when you're at work, it could be 12, it could be 15, it could be a 20-hour day, right? But just be there and lock in.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things that don't have a work, like even being a mom, there's no work, there's no mother-life balance. That's not a thing either. I don't, like, and even if it is, it's not going to last very long. There's problems that come up, life comes up, or some tragedies come up, and you can't be scared or think this isn't the life for me because I want balance. I personally think that kind of trains people to be scared of actually problem solving.
I think so too. And I think actually there's some like we'll call them proverbs, like texts that basically say we grow only through challenge. Yeah. It's like the wind blowing the tree that makes the trunk strong, right? It's the ability to endure the storm that keeps us strong and growing. Absolutely. I mean, and for just like I know with SpaceX and all the space exploration, like originally they tried growing plants in space, and what they found was they were weaker plants. Like they for smaller fruit. And that's because they didn't have the tension of the gravity like pulling down on them.
Yeah.
So when life feels hard, I would say like a practice of gratitude even for the trial. Like, thank you, trial.
I think also it's also the quote, diamonds are only made under pressure. And also, I just don't think you can escape it. I really don't. I don't think things happen even in family. It happened to my family. Things happen in personal lives, whether when people go through a breakup, that's really hard too. I think to try to run away from it or try to tell yourself that life is a balance, and I think things get uneven sometimes, but that's how it is. But you just have to train yourself to be okay with it. Because if you keep running away from it, or if you keep getting scared, or you keep, you break down at the sight of it, I really think life is going to be hard for you. And I really think a lot of things that could be managed easier are just going to be really tough because of the mindset of balance. And I think personally it can be a little bit more harmful than good, but I really think, like you said, you should lean in. When you lean into it and say thank you for testing me, thank you to myself for coming out stronger than I ever could have imagined, you can handle so much more than you think. Like problems that are really catastrophic that would have sent you over the edge a couple years ago, or for me at least, now it's just I solve them within 20, 30 minutes, depending whatever it is. Like I don't get overwhelmed by them as much anymore.